Do a quick update on this garden for SHTF. Hopefully the lighting is okay. Let's get home from work, so it's getting dark. And we've had a little bit of rain. And I went ahead and I added a bag of compost. Now I started planting stuff from the greens. Not everything has gotten used to standing up yet on its own. It's a little bit of Swiss chard. There's turnips, there's cabbages, there's all kinds of things. I kind of just planted it a little haphazard. Hopefully these ones that are all falling over will stand back up. So they've only been out here for like, I think this is day number 2 out here. Some of them now, these look like they were setting real well. That's a Japanese red mustard. Now, I've never tried that variety, I've never grown that variety. But I'm hoping for success. That was actually a free seed packet when I got it from Baker Creek. So taking advantage of that opportunity, I've got some more brassicas back here. I got something special on mine I'm gonna try to do to keep the slugs off of them. I'm gonna try a little bit of wood ashes. That's gonna be later on, but not too much later, because we don't want them destroying our stuff. So we got a row here. It's broccoli and some more other various types of greens. I got 2 different. That's the spinach right there. I got 2 different types of turnips. I got the purple top in here, and I should have a few golden ones as well. Let's go ahead and come over here. Oh, my hoop house. I need to finish taking it down the rest of the way. I had it going for the winter, and it did really well. I mean, there's no heat in here, and a few things I transplanted into here. The ones that are falling over need to be healed up probably. The other stuff that's been in here is stuff that survived all winter long. Like this right here survived in here all winter. That one that's bushing up over there survived all winter. I didn't have any heat. And brassicas are cold tolerant, but they're not that cold tolerant. So I'm surprised by those results, but that's why we do this. We do this so that we know what we can grow and what kind of conditions, so that whenever it hits the fan, we know what we can do. And of course this hoop, let's go over that real quick. This is a 10-foot PVC pipe. Here it is, 1/2-inch PVC pipe. I just stuck it in the ground. There's nothing special holding it in place. Just the wood. I only had 2 of them because I took it out of ones that were from over there, which we'll get to in a second. Then I took a broken piece of tomato stick, zip tied it down, and then this plastic is not greenhouse plastic. This is just plastic. I had some drop cloth on it that didn't hold up very well. This is, I think, 1.5 or 3 mil plastic from like Family Dollar or something. Just plastic, and it's held up pretty well. Just make sure whenever you're looking at those in the packet, they all kind of look whitish. So make sure you read the label and get the clear kind. Over here, made use of a little bit of this space as well. So a few more of the brassicas and stuff went into this, mixed in with my kale that had overwintered. And these are all volunteer kale, by the way. I had a couple of big kale over here in this bed, and they blew seeds all over, and I got these. And I had a red kale in a pot over there, and that blew seeds all over. Now I got 2 of those. So let's move on to this and make this update before it gets dark. This was the original plastic I was using. This was $1 at the Dollar Tree. This plastic drop cloth. It actually held up better than I expected, but it did get kind of raggedy. And these also came in a clear and a whitish color. In fact, here's the other color in the background that I was talking about being careful with. This is the other one that's labeled as clear, but it's kind of a whitish. It's not fully clear. There's a big difference between that and that. So this one's construction is the same way. On these I did add some, probably, I don't know, maybe 1 foot or so. They weren't very long, maybe not even that long. Pieces of rebar to slide this over. But as you notice, I didn't put any kind of clasps or anything holding it down. It's just held in there, sitting on top of that. This one I got a little bit more advanced when it came to the method of holding this on. I actually used, which this actually works better if you want to ever replicate this, than the wooden stake. The wooden stake was available, so that's what I used. There's a storm coming. But I put in this, I think is a 3/4 inch T. So I could slide this in and slide, this is a 1/2 inch side, 3/4 inch side. And I just put a couple of zip ties on each side Actually, this one slid off somewhere, just so it can't go past that. But of course, it's looks like this side slid down, or I might have chopped it off whenever I was taking this plastic off. And here, this is all overwintered stuff in here. I didn't plant anything new in this bed. Oh, take it back. I planted a couple of things new in here, but 90% of this is all stuff that survived. No heat here again. So there's the kale. More of the kale. These are all volunteers. Back there is some strawberries. Now those strawberries came from a runner from that strawberry plant that was in the 5-gallon bucket from last video. It threw out a runner. I ended up putting the runner in some soil, letting it root, and I clipped it off the plant and stuck it in here, trying an experiment with them as a companion plant for eggplant. But we'll get to that when we get to eggplant. Now these is what I'm most proud of, I guess you'd say, or surprised at, pleasantly surprised. These cabbages, there's a few of them in here. Like that one right there looks like it's starting to realize spring is happening, putting on some new growth. You can see it was destroyed by insects, and now the center is looking nice. I kept that one back there, hoping it would survive so it can go to seed. And I planted some other ones, and they were kind of small. As you can tell, the heads didn't come out as big as if they were to have been planted when it was warmer. But all of these was growing in this hoop all winter long with no heat, and they survived. In fact, the same is true for all of this stuff. There was also some things in pots that had the same thing. Those were spinach, and they actually did super well. Like here's one spinach that was in a pot. This pot was actually right over there in the not greenhouse, the hoop house, high tunnel, whatever you want to call it. Let's do this cabbage in there, see what happens. This actually had lettuce, a few lettuces in it. The lettuce didn't survive the cold, but everything else did. The cabbage did, surprisingly enough. I already knew the strawberries would, because last year my strawberries, I didn't even bother covering them and they survived. Same thing with the kale, so I knew they would. I'm really impressed with that, because that means I get this early harvest of cabbages. Well, I got new cabbages coming, and I also get to save a couple of those, or at least one of them, at least that one, maybe a couple of them, for seeds. Now cabbage, like most brassicas, or maybe even all brassicas, I'm not sure, is a biennial plant. So if you're not familiar with that, that means they seed every other year. So I had to grow these, let them overwinter, then let them come back up in the spring, or start adding new growth in the spring. Then they go to seed. They won't go to seed the same year they're planted. So that makes that's one downside. We're talking SHTF. Personally, I'm a big fan of cabbage. I know it has a lot of downsides. It's high in nutrition. It's pretty thick and hearty. You can make a good soup out of it. You can cut big giant wedges. You can use it as a wrap. You can use it as sauerkraut. It's a good all-around food, in my opinion. It's cool tolerant. It's heat tolerant. At least up here in the Midwest, I've never had any problem with the heat with it. And downsides is insects, very prone to insects, although these aren't too bad because it was cooler when I planted them. But probably the main downside, I guess, other than the lack of calories, but they are pretty hardy as far as dense plant material to eat. The other main downside is being biennial. It takes forever. If you have to save your own seeds, you got to plan ahead. It's quite a chore to get seeds from. Well, that one doesn't look like it's doing too hot. Hopefully it'll perk up like that one. These are some more I planted in here. So you got to plan ahead when it comes to getting some seeds, because these babies take a while. Now let me just review real quick. It's starting to get dark. Some future plans for what's going on here in the SHTF garden. Now this right here is where I'm killing off some grass, of course, but this is what I want to make it to a corn patch. I'm not sure how well received it's going to be so far. I've been told it was a little too big, but I'm going to try and roll with it anyway if possible, because this could make a lot of corn. In fact, I don't even know if I have enough seeds packets to cover this. This is approximately 21 feet long by 7 feet wide, but I've already got a fallback plan for this. If I can't fit all my corn in here, I'll use the front section for potatoes or something else. It won't go to waste. Excuse me. But this is where I'm going to be doing some corn. I figure I can get 7 rows at 21 foot long rows, and that should be a lot of corn. I'm planning on doing sweet corn, probably a couple different varieties in here, 2 or 3 different varieties. So I know they say you're supposed to do grain corn so that you can grind it into flour. But that's, here again, one of the things I want to test. I want to get some sweet corn, dry it, and try and grind it into flour and see what happens. That's what we do here. We test things. We test the hypothesis. We don't just take it for granted. So we're gonna see what kind of flour product we get. I'm sure we'll get something, but what? I don't know. How good? I don't know. Nutritional content, I imagine, be the same as regular sweet corn. So that's the plan for this. So I'm pretty excited about that. I'll let this grass get killed for a few more weeks, and then I'm going to, I don't have a tiller, so I'm going to rent one, and I'm going to till this baby up. That's going to be our corn patch. These other ones over here, they're making this tomato alley. I did tomatoes last year in there. I did I think corn in this patch, and I did pumpkins back there, so we'll see. But anyways, it's getting dark, but I want to give a quick update and show some of the progress and some of the pitfalls when it comes to the plastic. Although now it's warming up, that's not going to be necessary, but these might be really nice when it comes to putting some kind of method of keeping insects off of my cabbages and whatnot. And I'm just mixing in some cheapo compost, and they're getting the soil refreshed, and there we go. And I'll talk to y'all soon. So if you like the video, share, subscribe, comment down below. Do you think I'm crazy, or do you think I'm onto something? Do you got some ideas for experiments? Hey, maybe we can try it. Share some of the stuff you're doing in your garden. I'd like to know what everybody else is doing, how we all prepare, whether it's personal SHTF for finances or whether it's food shortages. We all do what we can to keep ourselves and our families fed. All right, signing out.